on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Really do. Now, this is a video, a live stream. This is something that I've had a lot of intention of making numerous times, but it hasn't. One, there's plenty of channels out there covering like the First Amendment audits and, just police malfeasance and things like that. And it's good. I'm glad that there's a spotlight on them. Some of the tactics that are used in these First Amendment audits are kind of ridiculous, and it makes me question who's really behind it. But for the most part, it's people just exercising their right, and to see the response of law enforcement, of people that have sworn an oath to uphold that very right, among many others, of course, to see the way that they react. And well, we'll cover a little bit of that, but not really, because what I want to focus on is why there has been such an increase in in the amount of absolutely insane interactions with the so-called peace officers. And hopefully by the time I'm done with this live stream, I can just give you enough to hopefully inspire you to go looking into some of this stuff yourself, because I think that you might be pretty shocked by what's happening. The saying, there's nothing new under the sun. We've been here before many times, and all of the signs are there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the chat on. Oh, we got a couple of people, at least more than I thought. Who knows who they are, but welcome. Hit the thumbs up if you can. I don't know, maybe it helps over here on the. I doubt it. Like, this channel's pretty much sectioned off and in its own little separate corner. So we've all heard of the Gestapo, right? Nazi Germany's infamous political police force. Well, what's up, Radicalized? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here, brother. But it's not just the Gestapo. We'll start with the Gestapo. This is just a small part of something larger that I want to talk about. What's up, Cuts? How you doing, bro? And when I was saying a minute ago about how I've had intentions of making this video plenty of times. Well, it's not what I do, right? It's not what I focus on typically. Although I do pay close attention to a lot of the laws, legislation, major stories, anything that has to deal with our rights or the elimination of them, the impact on them. I try to cover that. But who's the muscle behind enforcement? And would they enforce draconian or immoral laws? And at one point, the answer would be no. I firmly believe the answer would be a hard no. But that was years ago, years and years ago. There has been a steady change in the personnel that are hired for this occupation. And this isn't the first time something like this has occurred. There have been countless examples through history which we can learn by and see if what's happening here is ever happened anywhere else. And well, the Gestapo is just a gimme, but still, nonetheless, let's just quick overview. Over the course of the Nazi era, the institution of the Gestapo expanded and changed. The groups targeted by the Gestapo shifted with the regime's policies and priorities. Well, we're seeing a lot of that here, right? The DHS puts out memos. I've been really covering, especially the memos, because it's the Department of Homeland Security. And back during, 2002, 2003, 2006, 7, 8, when they passed all these bills, they were focused on the threat out there, right? The cave-dwelling Al-Qaeda and ISIS and, this. But the language of these bills doesn't necessarily make it so. And in fact, it has been turned around, and now the new greatest threat facing America is American citizens. According to the government, the greatest, and again, this is not the first time in history we have seen this. When you have a government saying a large faction of its own citizens, if not the majority, but a very large faction of its own citizens are deemed extremist, conspiracy theorists, anti-Semitic. They throw the book at them, all of the labels that they can conjure up. And we see this in the media consistently. The reason for it is because, we all know that they have to demonize people that are standing in their way. Make them the enemy, right? Make them the reason that everything that is happening that goes wrong or goes bad, if there's a mass shooting, it's because he got radicalized online or he watched this or seen that and somebody shared something. And conspiracy theories, it's a huge one, right? That's why I was at the top of the list in 2019, but it hasn't shifted much. It's almost ever changing, but still consistent in that the top 5 things have remained the top 5 things for quite some time. The order may be a little bit different, but they're going after nationalists, people that believe that, you live in America, America should take care, and the government of America should take care. If they're going to, they should protect. I don't necessarily mean take care of, but their whole duty should be to make sure that our rights are protected against enemies, foreign and domestic. But that is not at all what's happening. What is actually happening is the enemies are domestic and they are coming after our rights, and no one's there, especially the oath keepers, the ones that swear an oath. They're the ones that are coming after your rights. And this has happened over and over and over again. So I felt compelled to actually do this. Normally, I would leave this up to the people that are, like I was saying earlier, the First Amendment auditors and stuff, but they didn't ever talk about this. And there's so much more than just a piece of shit cop violating your rights on the side of a road. There's a conversation to be had here, and that conversation is what's changed and why has it changed? Who was the Gestapo? Right. Well, political police force of the Nazis. The name Gestapo, it's an abbreviation for its official German name, Geheimstaatspolizei. The direct English translation is secret state police. The Gestapo was not the first political police force in German history. Germany, like many countries in Europe, had a long history of political policing. Political policing is a specific type of police work. Its goal is to maintain the political status quo. Political police force protect the state or government from subversion. Now, sabotage or a coup. That's what we're seeing now, right? We haven't crossed that threshold quite yet, but we are on the precipice of it. That's what this MAGA thing is. That's what the next PSYOP, when that goes off, and then they're like, oh my God, this whole group of people cannot be trusted. We don't know which one it is that will carry out these atrocious attacks. Therefore, we must investigate and surveil every one of them all of the time. And they're already doing that, but they're not openly admitting to doing that, although they kind of are. I let the cat out of the bag an awfully lot with dumbass remarks like, I don't know, the teacher boards, right? Or the teachers and the school board literally writing letters trying to get, it wasn't even them. It was the school board, but it goes so much deeper than that. It's a government institution of a school board writing to the DHS saying, hey, these people are speaking out against our brainwashing. Make them domestic terrorists, please. And they did. They did, along with a lot of other things. That is political policing. That is the exact same thing that was already done plenty of times in other countries right before the worst possible thing could happen. And that is an absolute genocide that wipes out many, many, many people. All right, so we know about the Gestapo, but history is full of these. And the reason it is because it makes perfect sense, right? So, again, a couple, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you could actually, if the government got out of control, like they are now, and started really infringing on your rights and started, just off the wall type of nonsense that we've never seen before. Had this have happened 30, 40 years ago, we may have been able to count on the order followers, and that's probably why we wouldn't be able to, because still they follow orders. But they had morality. There was a sense of pride with that job that came, not an ego-tripping central view of your authority over others, but an actual respect for the position and what it meant to take that oath. There may have been enough pushback where you could count on the police, but now, because of things and measures that have been put in place over time, they have been weeding out, just like the military did with the vaccines. They have been weeding out people that think for themselves, that question authority, that may not just simply say, yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir. Because those people that did that, well, guess what? They got the boot. They said, get out of here. Yeah, they were welcome back. That's not how it works, right? Oh, we kicked all of you guys out. No, a couple years later, come on back. No, they're not coming back. They seen what you were about. That should worry us. But what should worry us more is how much of a change there has been made. Now, I'm going to get back to some of the stuff like, the Great Purge in the Soviet history. Or, this, like I'm saying, about the very careful reorganization of what it means to have a police force in these countries has greatly changed up and leading to major catastrophe, genocides. And we're seeing the exact same thing here, and why wouldn't we? You don't want those police officers of 30, 40 years ago. You want these low IQ, power-hungry tyrants on your force that don't give a shit what they've said or swore on. All they care about is having the power to tell you what to do, when to do it, without any question, anything, or you're gonna get a beat down. You might get tased. You might get shot. Oh, Dustin, you're over exaggerating. right? The one bad apple. That one bad apple argument. You know, there's a lot of good cops out there. It's just these bad apples, you know, they ruin it for everybody, and that's what people focus on. Well, that may have been true at one point. I do not see that as being the case now, because there is more than enough video, and those officers that are all participating in countless, I mean, there are thousands, if not millions, of videos that show just outright thuggery and abuse of power. And where is the good one? Not just, it's like where the bad one's doing it. They're all, where's the good one? Because that one bad apple ruined the bunch has been replaced with, there may be one good apple in that bunch of bad apples. But just like one bad apple ruins the bunch, a whole bunch of bad apples, it's going to ruin all of them much more. It's not going to, it doesn't work the other way, right? When you multiply by 0, doesn't matter how high the number, you're going to get 0. If you got a bunch of negative, bad shit, if you multiply anything by a negative, what do you get? Doesn't matter how high the number. If you got bad shit going on, it's harder and harder for the good ones to do anything. But they've been weeded out to such a point where there is no chance, and that's by design. Now, there's always been a group of sociopathic, centric tyrants that have been attracted to these types of positions. But there used to be guards in place to prevent them from holding these types of positions. But that is no longer the case. And not only is that no longer the case, now that is exactly who it is that they are looking for. Let me go just show a couple videos real quick.
Police officer forcing a teenager to the ground and punching him. The confrontation caught on a neighbor's camera. Our crime reporter Henry Lee is joining us now. And Henry, the teen's family says he has autism.
That's right, Christina. The department says the officer did not know at the time that the teen who was...
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Let's beat up a teen with autism.
I got the car and drive. Get out of the... I got the car and drive.
Now, I want to focus some time. Hopefully, he doesn't mind too much. This is a great channel. The Civil Rights Lawyer. Check him out. I'll go back and leave a link if you're unfamiliar with it. He's been doing some fantastic work. Now, this guy is a genuine freedom fighter. He is doing what he has sworn to do, and that's defend civil rights. And he's doing it. He's not pretending. He's showing this thing right here. Now, this was originally, I think, on the Next News Network, and before that, I'm not sure, but it's making its rounds. If you haven't seen it, check this out. I'm not going to show the whole thing because go check out his channel, but there's enough here to really provide a concrete example of what it is that I'm talking about.
Why would you do that to a 17-year-old?
Hey, you better get your fucking hands off my daughter.
You're going to go into handcuffs too if you do not back up. Davis 167, please back up.
The 17-year-old girl was just trying to get home from school, but this gang of cops pulled him over, manhandled the 17.
Now, gang of cops. Gang. It is literally, it's the Thin Blue Line gang. They are a gang. They do not respect. Now, yeah, there are probably still left decent, not officers, but the actual institution itself probably isn't as bad as what we're going to see here. Now, guys, I don't want to focus and just drill in on cops in general. But they are literally like the last line of defense. They're supposed to protect and to serve. And if they are turned on the people, just like the Patriot Act was turned on the people, just like all of the things, it was always about the United States. We were always the last domino to fall because it's easy to knock over all these other countries. They don't have the history that we do. They didn't leave a tyrannical country and fight off tyrants and hold their ground and set up shop here and enshrine as many rights as they could into a constitution anywhere else. I mean, there are some examples that are somewhat similar, but not anything like the way Americans feel about their freedoms. And that is under attack like never before. And the ones that are going to be at your door are going to be these thugs.
17-year-old girl, as well as her stepdad, turned their car upside down, ransacked it looking for drugs that didn't exist, and then when they didn't find anything, trumped up charges.
Now I'm going to skip right to where the encounter actually starts getting into it.
Hey! You better get your hands off my daughter!
Stay right there.
If you ever
You're
touch
going to go
my
into
daughter
handcuffs
again,
too. You're going to go into handcuffs too if you do
Name
not
and
back
badge
up.
number.
Davis 167, please back up. Please back up.
that is my daughter. Don't touch me.
Please back up or you.
Before I do that, I want to show you how these guys are riding. Watch this.
To be pulling them over, but it doesn't look like a police car. They see people with backwards ball caps and possibly a gun. This is Sacramento. There's some concern.
There's a blacked out SUV with tinted windows following you. And you already noticed that it's following you, but you don't know who it is. And you call and you call your fiance and be like, listen, I'm not sure exactly what to do here. I'm being followed by this black SUV with tinted windows. I can't see much, but the people in the front, I see a gun. What do I do? Well, don't pull over. Don't pull over, right? Well, they hit the lights eventually. That red and blue lights. What does that mean? Does that mean you ought... Because I could do the same thing. You can buy bike lights that flash, and you could pull people over. Does that mean automatically that they're safe? No, of course not. So get into a safe area. Or if you're on a busy road, do you have to pull over the very second that those lights come on? No, not if you're not safe. Not if you don't feel safe. If you're on a road that has barriers up, right? Like those giant cement barriers, and there's no shoulder. Maybe there's work being done, and the cop flips on their light. Should you pull over right there and risk getting rear-ended? No. But they hate it when you don't. Because that's why they have been replacing the decent ones with these thugs. Because they know the psychology of these people. And they know what they will do. And they will do whatever the fuck they want. And you better not get in their way.
Concern, maybe it's a carjacking, something else other than police.
All right,
the 17-year-old calls her mom.
So,
the mom says, look at
what's going on in this video, and again, there's millions of ones like this out there, and more every day. I've never seen anything like it. I felt it necessary to make this video because of this. It's getting out of control. There's stepdad, and he's picking his stepdaughter up from school. She's 17. They're driving. Like I explained, there's a black SUV that gets on their ass. After a while of following them, they flick on their lights. They're in a bad area to pull over. Plus, wasn't really sure what's going on anyway, so they drive about a mile. They weren't running from the cops. You are legally allowed to do this, but again, when a cop says jump, you had better say how high, officer. Otherwise, you're going to affect their incredibly fragile ego. And when that happens, they need to express how important they are, how much control they have over you. And they will do that in an ever increasingly violent way. And it goes from 0 to 11 in 0.0004 seconds.
After the fact, to analyze what violations of the Constitution these cops engaged in.
Hey! You better get your hands off my daughter.
Stay right there.
If you ever
You're
touch
going to go
my
into
daughter
handcuffs
again,
too. You're going to go into handcuffs too if you do
Name
not
and
back
badge
up.
number.
Davis 167, please back up. Please back up.
that is my daughter. Don't touch me.
Please back up or you're going to go into cuffs too.
Do not touch me.
See what's happening. Do you want me to tell you?
Please
Not
do,
going
but
to the car.
I would like to check on my child.
She's fine. Let's go over here.
I just watched her get yanked up. 17, she'll be 18 in December. She goes to the Met.
So listen. They're conducting a traffic stop in the car. The car was not stopping for probably the last 2 miles.
Why?
I don't know.
They have no right to be in my car.
Nothing.
We don't talk to you. What do you mean?
Who are you?
I'm the supervisor right now. Who are
Okay,
you?
what's your name and badge
I'm
number?
Johnson Citizen too. So your car is
I'm
going to get
sorry,
towed
say it
today.
again?
Your car's going to get towed
Why?
today, and your daughter and your husband are going to jail. What else do you
My
want to know?
daughter is 17
I don't
and
care.
you don't have a right to take
She
her to jail.
resisted arrest, and she's going to go to jail for
You
arrest.
can't-
I absolutely
No,
can.
why would
I absolutely
why
can.
would you arrest her?
Why would I not? She resisted
She's
arrest.
17. You have to have a reason
You
to
understand
arrest
that
her.
your husband
A lawful
and your
reason to arrest her.
daughter just ran from police for the last
They
7
did
miles?
not.
They didn't?
Run?
So that the camera wouldn't lie?
What do you mean run?
We have been
I
lighting
just
them
watched
up,
you pull my
conducting the
child.
traffic stop for the last 7 miles.
What?
They did not pull over.
7 miles? Why
Yeah.
did he say 2?
The car was not stopping for probably the last 2 miles.
Why?
I don't know.
So get your story
Talk to me.
straight.
I'm the one that pulled her over, so talk to me.
No, you were. I watched this dude with the beard.
So you have rights. You have rights. Know them. You cannot let psychopaths like this just run rampant and do what they want to do. There must be consequences for their actions. Must be consequences for their actions. They cannot, if you're going to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and then all you do is violate people's freedoms and their rights, you need to pay a price, a hefty price.
Beard pull her out of the car.
Which is in my vehicle. So get your facts straight if you're going to talk about it.
I watched the dude with the beard.
Perfect. He's with me.
That's the fact.
Okay, so
and
your
that's what I
daughter
saw.
is going to go to jail.
My daughter's 17. Do not touch her.
17-year-olds can go to jail.
For what?
For resisting.
Resisting what? You had no reason to grab her out of the car.
This is another thing that we see constantly now is you can get resisting arrest for resisting no arrest. Now, if you're resisting arrest, what were you being arrested for that you resisted? It doesn't matter. They will just charge you with resisting arrest. And that's what happens here. And I could show you a million videos of that exact same thing happening on innocent people, on people that have done literally nothing wrong. Maybe they went a little too fast, right? But is that reason to ruin their lives? They are trumping up charges. They're lying on the reports. They're ruining people's lives. There was just a report that came out about like dozens upon dozens of false driving under the influence, right? You got to get that quota. You got to get those numbers. You need that money to get that new Dodge Charger for your police cruiser. And that's what they do. And they back the blue until it happens to you, right? And, well, you're just going to. It will happen. It will happen. These are the ones when shit starts going down that you think you can count on. Because most people are still under the operating system of the 80s, late 70s, right? Not saying cops were great then. You've had bad apples, but that's all it is now. And if you are a good one, you're not going to be there very long. Look at the ones during COVID that were actually voicing. No, I'm not going to go along with this. This is just, where are they now? All of them that I'm aware of, I was like, man, that's actually a good cop off the force.
Okay. I know my rights and I know her rights.
Okay.
We can discuss whatever you want, but you're wrong and you know it.
No, I'm not. So
yes,
again,
you are,
again,
and you know it.
Because
this is a complaint against you for touching. Who is driving my car?
Your husband.
What is happening right now?
That's getting towed. That's leaving.
My car is why?
Well, if you want to tell me how the law goes, you should already know why.
I don't have any understanding. I only know my daughter said.
They have nothing at all on these people other than they didn't pull over right when the sirens went up. That's it. That's all it is. And imagine your 17-year-old daughter getting literally ripped out of the vehicle, thrown onto the ground, handcuffed, and arrested, put in jail for being a passenger in a car that didn't pull over the second those lights went on.
Says there's a bunch of cops.
In regards to what
I
we're
watched
doing,
you rip my daughter out of the car.
Me?
I watched the gentleman with the beard, and you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But you talking to me this way, you're here to protect and serve. I'm here working. I get a phone call from my daughter.
You should have a good conversation with your husband then.
Okay, I can
driving
have a
the way that he's
conversation.
driving with your daughter in the car. If that's what you're concerned
What was
about.
he driving like? I don't.
Oh, he was driving. It gets to watch the entire video, guys. That's why I said I'm not going to rip this dude's video off and show you the entire thing, but I do want to show you this exchange because this is just a small example of a much larger issue that we are facing right now. And when this has happened in the past, bad things happen shortly thereafter.
I don't even know.
We have literally been trying to pull him over for the last 7 miles. He's not pulling over.
The car was not stopping for probably the last 2 miles.
Why?
I don't know.
It's called a pursuit.
What
He's running
happened
from
with my
officers.
daughter, though?
She resisted getting out of the vehicle.
The road that they were on is extremely busy. You got a blacked out SUV that you see a gun behind you. Like I said, I'd be a little hesitant myself. I'd be more hesitant once I found out that there were cops because, look, you guys, have you seen the Acorn video? How many people in here? I think there's like 2 people in here. How many people in here have seen that Acorn video where those cops are serving a warrant or doing something, and an Acorn... All right, let me give you the quick story of the whole thing, in case you haven't. So, look it up. I could not possibly give the humor any justice because it is hilarious if it wasn't so serious. But they get this guy, they pat him down, they search him for weapons, he has nothing. They cuff him, put him in the back of their police vehicle. Now, as he's walking by, an acorn from the tree above falls and makes a tunk. The cop, you can't make this shit up, starts rolling around on the ground saying, I'm hit, shots foot, and he unloads his entire clip into the back of his own cruiser with the passenger, with the suspect sitting handcuffed in the back. Clearly, how could he have pulled a weapon and started... No, that's how sensitive, that's how trigger-happy, psychotic, there's not... On and on and on it goes, that these fucking lunatics are. And not just that, but the supervisor of that officer, who was on the property that heard absolutely nothing, sees her officer firing into the back of his own cruiser. So she decides to unload her whole clip. And it's only by the grace of God that that young man survived. But I cannot imagine what that would be like. This is just common practice now. These aren't cases that are like, oh my God, this is every day, every county, every tyrant on the force type shit. And why? Why have they changed it from serve and protect to harass and collect? It's not just about that. There's something bigger that always has been on the way. It's an incremental process. And we keep giving them like, oh, it's a pass. Here you go. Here's a little bit more. Give them an inch, right? Give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They'll take that mile inch by inch. They're slow and methodical about what they do so it doesn't go noticed by the masses. Because if you went from that police force from 35 years ago and you instantly switched it with what we have with this militarized police force now, there would be an uproar. It would never stand, ever. People would not have it. It would not happen. I can promise you that. But you do it over the course of decades. Little bit more. Just take this right. Let's replace this cop with this. Let's give him the shady one. Oh yeah, well, you already right. It doesn't matter. Get him on the force. How do you make sure that you're only like once you pretty much got it figured out and you only want to hire scumbags? How do you do that? Do you think that they actually think about that problem? Well, I'm here to tell you they do, and I'm going to prove it to you after this.
Cool. Did you see guns pointed at your vehicle? Did you see guns pointed at your vehicle?
I was too far away.
Okay, so you didn't see the whole thing going
No,
down,
but
correct?
my child's out
So
here.
are you showing up late to the game? Can we make that
I want you to
clear?
stop talking to me like I'm
Okay,
an idiot
I'm
because
done
I'm
with
not.
This is a perfect representation of how government employees will treat you and your family if allowed to run wild with zero accountability, because government detests you. And the people that like these jobs and want to act that way, they will detest you. They will treat you like garbage, just like this so-called supervisor is treating this woman. He's treating her with disrespect.
Now that's not like a scumbag, crack whore or whatever. That's an upstanding citizen from their perspective, what you would deem. She works for the county. I forget exactly what her title is, but she has a government job. That doesn't mean nothing. They don't care. All they care about is flexing their muscles, showing who's the boss. You better listen to me. I'm important. Is the essence of their whole being.
He's being snarky. He's being rude. He's treating her with disdain. He's lying to her. And he tells her that, okay, this is your car. Haha, I'm going to tow it now, even though you're right here and you could take possession of it. No, to punish you because you have such an awful 17-year-old daughter and fiance/husband, we are going to punish you. We are going to cause you the most trouble we can cause you. That's what he's doing. And they're not done. Obviously, they're going to charge this girl with resisting arrest when she had committed no crime. She wasn't driving the car. She's 17 years old.
Committed no crime. And again, guys, this is everywhere. If you're not following what's happening to our police forces, and guess the best part to this is the whole they got it out for Trump thing, right? Oh, they're doing everything they can to make sure Trump isn't elected. What's Trump's like one of his main platforms? I mean, not platform. Like, what is what if this is like one of his foundational standards that he has been running on? This selection. Oh, problem, reaction, solution, right? Tons of crime that's running rampant. You got all these George Soros DAs just letting people in and out of prison. Let Trump in. Let's solve the problems. Let's drive crime down. Let's stop the criminality. How do you do that, executive order, Donald Trump? You guys are in for a treat when he gets in, if he gets in. If they don't, there's a couple of ways this is going to go down. One is they're going to fuck the entire voting thing up, and it'll be Biden or whoever the hell that they have in his place, like Gavin Newsom, right? And Trump will lose. And that alone is going to be enough of a powder keg that the mainstream media will keep dumping gasoline on to potentially start an actual civil war. Because people are buying into this shit. Left, right, I'm on a team, let's go. Another possibility is that they stage an assassination attempt. And if they had to stage it, I don't think it would be against Trump. I mean, it would be effective against Trump, but the smarter move, because if it was against Trump, you would get your civil war, yes. But you wouldn't get your government the ability to demonize a whole group of people saying, we told you so, these people are dangerous, we need to lock them up. If you think that that's unreasonable, we just did that 60, 70 years ago. We locked up a ton of Americans in concentration camps here in the United States because they were potentially, because they looked a certain way, right? Because they had something in common. The thing is, because these people all had one thing in common, in that they were Asian, and if you think we've come a long way from that, you are sadly mistaken. We've only gone worse. So what we're capable of now is worse than what we would have done back then. Because we are evil now. We are sick fucking psychos. They have, and this is all part of, like, read Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. This is like precisely what he was talking about. And then you have the letter, right? You have the whole letter that was up. It doesn't matter. We won't get into that shit right now. But this is 100% by design. I don't want to get too far. I gotta jump back onto here real quick. I'm gonna switch this over. I got a couple other things to talk about, and then I'm gonna get going.
18 years old. All she said was, I'm a minor, I'm a minor. Then they yanked her out of the car. Okay, yeah, she resisted this gang of armed thugs with tattoos all down their arms, with badges. I mean, how many of them are there? Yeah, she resisted them. Of course she resisted them. Give me a break. They're liars. They just yanked her out of the car because they're drama queens. And now they're going to trump up any kind of charges that they can, even if she's 17 years old. And now they're going to search the car because they have to find...
Trump. I didn't get to my point on that, and that's important. So Trump being the law and order president, they're hyping, and I say hyping because that's what they're doing. When you take his mugshot, when you give these kangaroo courts and you go out, he's a fuck. They know what they're doing. They're all in on it. All of them. If you do not be stupid enough to think for 1 second that this person is going to come in, he already had 4 years, by the way. 4 years, and what happened? What was that the best 4 years of your life when Trump was in office? What happened? COVID ran rampant. We got Operation Warp Speed, which gave us a vaccine that they mandated on everybody. I remember him saying, take the guns first, due process second. In what fucking country, Trump? But these nuts. See they're going after him. These liberals, right? Because yes, they make the other side look absolutely horrendous, and nobody wants that. So what do? Well, you side with the person that says, I'm going to go after them. That's the psychology. It's that easy. And it works. And that's why they're doing it. And that's why Trump's going to get in. But if Trump doesn't get in, it's because it's either the Civil War thing, like I was saying, but the more likely scenario would be to try to stage an assassination against Joe Biden, because then you can go after the MAGA crew and start. So that's one of the other options. The third option is we get attacked. I mean, we got people literally flooding in through this country. That's a real problem, right? Now, that's also they put all serious problems that we should be focused on onto a left-right spectrum. That way, you know what your team's doing, so you need to say the same thing. How about you think for yourself and you realize, is a bunch of young men, military-age men, jacked men from all of like China, North Korea, India, Pakistan, Iran, Syria, and the list goes on, crossing the border every day. I've seen a couple of these videos now where there's Chinese people taking expensive boats, riding them up on shore, and everybody vacates. A $60,000 boat, doesn't matter. Who's paying for that? Because a coyote isn't. A coyote is going to spend $60,000 on a speedboat to ram it on shore so a bunch of Chinese nationals can run off. We are being red dawned, and when that happens, you will be sadly mistaken if you think you can count on your law enforcement, because they are already bought and paid for. This is top-down control. And until we wake up to exactly what's happening, there's not much hope we have. So my whole goal is to do exactly that. I wish I had more of a platform, a louder voice, but I don't. So it's up to you guys. Hopefully you do.
There's something in the car to just really stick it to these people.
It goes on and on and on and on.
Police officers mistook my identity and assaulted me. They did not have my rights in mind, because instead of admitting that they were wrong, they charged me with 3 felonies.
911 emergency.
Oh my God, they're pounding him in the head. They're gonna kill this man.
I had gotten out of work early, walking on the sidewalk on a sunny summer day, going to my internship. I was calling my sister at the time and somewhat distracted by looking at my phone when 2 men approached me, stepped toward me off the curb and said, hey, who are you? I said, I'm James. And they asked me, is that your real name? I said, yes, that's my real name. But one of them stepped behind me, boxed me out, and took my wallet out of my back pocket.
So that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, where you are supposed to be secure in your persons or papers, right? You need a warrant for that. Let's not let this shit go unnoticed. This is happening all the time. It is not okay. We have rights for a reason, and if we do not stand up for them, you're fucked. You're fucked. You gotta voice. You got to get your voice out there. Man, I've been doing this a long time, and it has never been more important than it is now. Now, I could have always said that, but there has never been a more dire situation. There's shit coming very soon, guys, very soon, that is going to flip this whole world upside down like 9/11 did, on drugs, on steroids, and good luck. And if we sit idly by, if we act like it's okay and everything's fine and Big Brother is going to protect us, there's no chance. They need to know that we know what our rights are and that we will not let them go. Period.
Okay. So I went to run, to flee, and I was tackled and ultimately beaten pretty severely. I was screaming for someone to call the police.
Oh my God. They're beating him up. Like, they're literally assaulting him.
When I was being choked, I feared for my life, truly, and it was a moment where everything went black, and as far as I know, that is as close as you can get to being dead without being dead. The police came, and then that was when I realized that they weren't muggers, but they were just a police detective and an FBI agent.
In this case, the officer...
You mean they weren't just another gang? No, they were officers. That's what I'm talking about, guys. I wouldn't be making this video otherwise. It's because there's the last 5 years, it has been a massive increase. I mean, we've been going on like a pretty steep angle anyway. But these last 5 years, it has gone straight up with the amount of tyranny. And that's because they've replaced the people that they needed to replace. I actually follow, I think his name's Israel something or another. He's a former police officer. A good guy. You can tell by watching him. He's a good guy who cares about what he actually swore. He actually wanted to help people. But where's he now? He sure as hell ain't on the force. There's 2 reasons for this. One, those people can't deal with psychopaths like that. They don't want to be around them. They're like, man, I can't operate this way. I can't mag light somebody in the head for not doing anything and then arrest them and say they were resisting arrest when they didn't do anything wrong. I can't be a part of that. They're out. Then you have the other scenario where you're just not being a big enough bully. You haven't made enough arrests. Well, how do you make more arrests if nobody's committing crimes? Right? How do you do it? Well, I'm sure there's a way for some.
Officers were looking for a fugitive with an extremely broad description. James looked absolutely nothing like the photograph the officers had of the fugitive whom they were looking for.
Do you have any weapons on you at all?
And it doesn't matter. That's exactly my point. They knew it wasn't the guy. They knew it wasn't the guy. What do they have to fear? You know, if they do get in trouble, what are they getting? A paid vacation. What's up, Tab? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. They got qualified immunity, and if there ever is anything, they investigate themselves and always say, oh, no, it was all fine. Everything was good. I want to go back to the beginning of what I was saying here, guys. We'll watch a couple more seconds of this, but there's a reason I'm making this video, and it's not to just trash talk cops. It's because with everything I've been doing over all of these years, focusing on domestic terrorism and the conspiracy theory aspect, how they're demonizing certain swaths of people in this country, and what the next steps are, and how this is going to play out. This is a major one that I've already seen the signs of, but I've been really hesitant to talk about because maybe I was hoping it wasn't the case. I don't know. But it clearly is, and I cannot lie to myself. It's out of hand. Most people don't realize to the extent of it for a couple of reasons. One, that they don't jump online and go looking for it, and it's damn sure not going to find them. These are the things that get wrapped up, hushed up, because they don't want people to be focusing on this type of stuff. And the other reason is well, actually, I'm going to probably finish off with that reason, so.
No, sir, I thought they were trying to mug me.
I remember being loaded into the back of the ambulance, just being so stricken by what had just happened. I was in a...
This happened to me too. I don't know why this dude keeps smiling through this whole thing. It's kind of weird. I guess I would too. If it was me, I guess I could understand it. Yeah, I'm just always skeptical, right? So, but I got my ass beat pretty bad for fishing. Well, I mean, we weren't fishing, but that's what some dumbass said, and that was reason enough to beat our ass. Bad. It was so bad that they arrested me, and I'm probably the only one that the mugshot is completely black. Completely black. Because they're like, we can't show this. This dude didn't do a damn thing wrong. I didn't do nothing. I was sitting at a river past curfew. That was my crime. A river. I didn't know it was past curfew. I was out of state. I got beat tap. And this happens all the time. And ever increasingly so. Why?
I was in a great deal of pain when I got to the hospital. And I remember everyone there.
You see the blood in the eye and everything like that? Except my face was purple. His wasn't.
The staff, the nurse, even the officer that was in charge of watching me. As I was cuffed to my bed, I remember him loosening the cuffs and telling me that I shouldn't be there. I went directly from...
Yeah, I was beat by the police. Like, pretty bad. Over nothing. It was over nothing. But that's... Man, it's... Guys, I know because this isn't a part of your normal life, that it's so easy to dismiss this like, well, yeah, you know. But it's not that simple. This isn't what it comes down to. Yeah, Tab, it's militarized police, and they are creating the necessary force. And now I see that force in totality. It's complete. They have it. The children are also, that's another video entirely, but the same tactics that have been used in all of these genocides, we are seeing, it could not be a better example of following a blueprint on any of these things. Because there is nothing new under the sun. Because it's been done before, it'll be done again. And unless we rise to the occasion, which, believe it or not, we actually have the power to do that, it just takes a little realization.
From the hospital to the jail cell, where I was, stripped of my clothing, given a jumpsuit, given a mugshot, spent the night on a cold jail cell crying. I called my parents and made it there as soon as they could to bail me out.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
James.
an inmate at Kent County Correctional Facility.
Hey. We're...
So he was done wrong. Beaten pretty damn bad for nothing, right? Mistaken identity. Reached in his violated his rights, arrested him, threw him in jail. Clearly, it's all wrong. This is such an easy we have the wrong guy. One, his picture looks nothing like the picture we have of the guy that we're looking for. Two, his name doesn't match. That should have been the end of it. He should, right? Like, if you this is the way it used to work. If you truly believe that was the suspect, you already were in distance enough to beat his ass. That means you were already in distance enough to detain him and say, hey, who are you? Now, he doesn't have to answer because that's his right. Did he commit a crime? No. I don't care if he looks like somebody. You have to have rights. Otherwise, we are living in Nazi Germany. We are living in Mao Zedong's China. We are living in Vladimir Lenin's Russia. You can go on and on and on. And we're here again. Surprise, surprise. I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist with police pulling me over on my bike.
We're getting screwed. I'm going to prison, I think.
No, I don't think that. We're going to get a bondsman and get you out of there.
It's 50,000.
I know.
This is bad. This is really bad.
After I was released from jail, much to my surprise, the police officers charged me with 3 violent felonies. And I had to go to trial
because they have to protect their asses, and that's what they will do. They don't care if it's true or not. They're not being taught honesty. They're not being taught anything but the thin blue line game. They got each other's backs, and everybody else is the enemy unless it comes from above them. And those orders come from above them, and they're going to follow them. They've got the people that they need now, and how did they do it?
6 months later. I spent that whole 6 months probably the most scared and the most stressed I've ever been in my entire life, having no idea if I'm going to spend the next 10 years of my life in prison for something that I didn't do. I remember my attorneys telling me, most people don't win against the government, and we know that you did nothing wrong, but if they offer you a plea, you should consider taking it.
How frightening is that? Picture this being you. Seriously picture this. You are just going about your day. Tomorrow. Just like you did today, you're doing the same thing tomorrow, except on your way home from work, you get pulled over. Now, they're saying things that aren't true. They're saying, like, you know, you're slurring a little bit with your words. You step out of the vehicle. Now, a lot of people don't know their rights. Unfortunately, they don't know their rights. So they're going to be intimidated by the aggressive nature of the cops and do exactly what it is that they tell them to do. And that's your first mistake, because all that's going to do is land you in a world of trouble. But you're fucked either way, because if you say no, that's also going to land you in a world of trouble. And that's the problem that we face with today's current law enforcement. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And these are the ones that are supposed to be there to serve and protect. Now, guys, this isn't just some random cases. Call the cops. Call the cops. See what happens. Next time you see a crime committed, you be the one to call the cops. And then come back to me.
And they did, and I said no. I said no, I didn't do anything wrong.
What happened to James is not an isolated incident. Typically, people just don't hear about them for any number of reasons. In a situation like James...
Any number of reasons? Well, maybe we should name some. Why don't people hear about these? Because they're not isolated incidents. Well, we know why. Because if people knew about them, they might start asking questions, being like, "What's really going on here, man? Like, we thought, we're paying your salaries. It's coming out of our. Why are you acting this way? What is?"
James is where a prosecutor brings several serious felony charges against someone. They'll typically take a plea deal to avoid going to trial and potentially spending decades in prison. And once they do that, their ability to go after the officers or hold them accountable for violating the Constitution basically evaporates.
When the jury came back, they unanimously acquitted me of all charges. I cried. My family ran towards me. And I remember as I was walking out of the courtroom.
He got lucky. This happens all the time to people, and they're not so lucky. Now, there are criminals out there, and they keep releasing them, so just like they keep arresting Trump or putting him through trial, and they keep doing that because they know it's going to garner attention and support. It's kind of the same exact thing. Problem, reaction, solution. Trump, he's going to come in and he's going to say, oh, there's so much crime, right? Because they're letting the actual criminals back out for that appearance of, yeah, you can get jumped and robbed at any minute. And that's true. But the ones that they're going after, and I personally have experienced this, the ones that they're actually supposed to be going after, they let walk away. Literally, walk away. But you're going to be their focus of attention. So how do they do this, right? How do they get these cops? How do they eliminate the ones that are good? Well, court okays barring high IQs for cops, even though that is absolutely illegal. I mean, I cannot think of a better way to provide an example for discrimination other than barring people for high IQs. That's discrimination, but it's okay. The court's up top because it's all up top. It comes from up above and it flows down, and they're all just doing what they're told by their masters. So it's okay to bar, it's okay to break the law and discriminate against people that are more intelligent to become cops, because you can't have a smart cop. You can't have a cop that's asking questions being like, wait a minute, man, I know the Constitution. What the fuck are we doing here? No, it's okay. The court approves it. We now allow dumb ass cops. If you're too intelligent, you won't make it on the force. And of course, this ties into the domestic terrorism stuff and everything else, guys. I'm going to get wrapping it up. I feel as though I didn't do it justice. I feel that a lot. I feel, well, mainly I'm talking to my screen and a couple other people, and maybe it'll reach 50, 60. And I have other, I mean, I'm not always going to be on this channel. It's pretty much at its end. But what happens with the next one? It's going to move. We're moving. It's time to move. It's time to move. And I'm not talking social media platforms. Well, regardless, you might not be able to find me, but I sure as hell know where you are. Much love.